two. The stereoscope was introduced in 1838. Photography appeared in 1840, but it didn't really catch on very quickly. And stereoscopy officially started with the 1851 exhibition in London. It's a daguerreotype portrait by Louis-Jules Dubosc of a schoolboy. And you can see, if you close one eye and then the other, that you can see a lot more of his face on one side and than on the other. So the camera probably described an angle around the sitter. The sitter didn't move, but the camera moved slightly around him. And that's why there is such depth. It's exaggerated depth in a way. That's how they took the first photos at the beginning. So if you wanted to make a binocular camera, which means two lenses taking the two photos at the same time, you had to take one lens, cut it in half, polish it a little, so that you had exactly the same lenses. It was difficult, it was expensive, and most photographers didn't bother. They just used one lens, because that way they were sure that the two images were taken with the same lens. Now, this guy here, Joshua Latimer Clark, is a very important person because he invented a system, a process, which allowed the two photos to be taken on the same plate and transposed. This is a camera which is mounted on the same system you saw earlier, the last system, the lazy tongue system. So you put a plate holder in the camera, you push the plate holder to the left, and you push the camera to the left as well. Then you open the right half of the plate holder, and you take the first image. Then you push the plate holder to the right, and you push the camera also to the right. You open the left half of the plate holder, and you expose the second half of the plate. Now, when you develop the plate, everything is in the right order. Left is left and right is right. The early photos we know were taken with only one camera because there were no binocular cameras at the time. This is a photo from the 1851 exhibition. So this is one of the very earliest stereo photos. Yeah, this is Torre de Belém. And again, nothing has moved. The two characters in the foreground have not moved, but there is so much depth. It is exaggerated depth. So again, we know that the photographer took two images. Now, if you look at the shadows of the trees on the right and the shadows of these things at the front, they come out of the image. Now, shadows never do that unless you take two photos, and between the two photos, the earth has moved, not the sun, but the earth, and the shadows have changed. And this is what happened here. So these images not only capture depth, but they also capture time. One is a binocular photo, so taken with a binocular camera. And how do we know? Because even though things have moved, they have moved the same way on both sides. Now, why is it so important to talk about sequential photos? Because nowadays there is a whole community of people taking stereos on Instagram and social media. If you want to take a stereo today, the only thing you have is this, a phone. And the phone is much better quality than those stereo cameras. And now, of course, it takes 2 seconds to take the two images instead of 40 seconds or more. So it's becoming, we're going back into the past, actually. We're getting back to this sequential technique. And most people take photos like this.
Stereo is imitating the technique of human eye, like yes, from right to left or left to right. Mm-hmm. But did anyone ever try to do it like closer and farther?
Actually, they did. Yeah, there was I think it's the Lumiere brothers. They used a camera which would take photos sequentially like this, and it would focus, for example, on the tip of your nose, and then they would change the focus, and they would create lots of photos like this, and then they would develop the photos, and they would put them together one behind the other. And when you look at the image, you see the portrait in 3D because you've got slices of the person. So yes, they sort of tried that. They tried everything. It's very strange. We haven't invented anything the Victorians haven't tried before. There were technical limitations, but they tried everything. And that's amazing.